Test, test, test. Hey everybody, Mr. Bremberger back here to talk about video number 1 of Heredity. This will be video number 1 of our 2-part series on heredity and basically how things get passed from parent to offspring. Those things being traits, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Question for you though before we begin is on the screen in front of you. I'd like you to take about 30 seconds to a minute or even longer and ponder. Have you ever kind of wondered or pondered why some family members look very similar while others may look very different? Think about that. Pause for a second before we move on. All right, if you've paused, me personally thinking about this, I look at the person that comes to mind is my brother. Okay, my brother is a male. He's obviously my brother, 5 years younger than me, and at different points in our life, when he was 20 and I was 20, we were extremely different. He is much taller than I am, about 6 inches taller than me. In fact, he has a different colored eyes than me. He has different colored hair. And there are some differences all the way on down to whether he has hair on his knuckles or not. That is also something that can be passed from parent to offspring. So there are obviously some differences, yet we came from the same two people, or were created by cells from the same two people. And there's also some similarities as well. Now what we're going to talk about is how those different traits are passed from parent to offspring through the course of this video, or at least begin to in some way, and kind of begin to analyze that idea of heredity. Now, it really all begins with meiosis. Now, dating back to maybe in 6th grade when you learn a little bit about the reproductive system, in order to create another, human being, we need to take a cell from the mother and a cell from the father, those being sex cells, with a specific number of chromosomes, that being the number 23. So 23 chromosomes come from mom, 23 chromosomes come from dad. Those cells, the male cell will fertilize the female cell and thus give us a fertilized egg with the proper number of chromosomes in it, which for us as human beings is 46. Now the process of meiosis takes us through that. As you can see at the top, we start with a cell with, you can throw the number 23 in here if you want. The number 46, your standard number of chromosomes. That number will then replicate through the process of DNA replication. So basically the DNA gets sent to the copy machine for one more copy. So in a human, we're going from 46 to 92 chromosomes, and then comes an initial division back down to 46 chromosomes in each of these cells, and finally another division of the cells will take us from 46 to 23 chromosomes. Again, the chromosome is what we're going to really investigate or dive into here today. So as you can see, we'll start by taking a look at what they actually look like. These are not artist depictions. These are actual camera shots of all 23 pairs of chromosomes. Again, we've got 23 of them. You get one of them from mom, one of them from dad for each particular pair. Now, on each set of chromosomes, you'll have coded genetic information that will basically be your instruction manual for every cell that you have, which ultimately makes up who you are. Now, a couple of questions, as you can see at the left, that I want you to think about. Are we looking at a male or are we looking at a female? And do we see any abnormalities here with our karyotype or a picture of the chromosomes? So why don't you pause now and consider those two questions. All right, now, starting with male or female, if you take a look, chromosome number 20 or pair number 23 at the bottom will be our sex determinators. Because we have two X chromosomes, we will be looking here at a female. If we were looking at a male, the chromosome here on the right side would be a Y chromosome, which is actually about half the size of the X chromosome. So technically, ladies, you have more DNA than your male counterparts. Also, if you take a look at the abnormality here, hopefully your attention was drawn to the extra chromosome here in pair number 21. This would be referred to as a trisomy. And in particular, anytime we have a trisomy with the 21st pair, we would be looking at a person's chromosomes that has Down syndrome. So we'll talk more about Down syndrome and other genetic disorders a little bit later on in future videos. But for the remainder of this video, I want to talk about the parts of the chromosome. And in particular, there are two of them that we are most concerned about. Those would be the genes and alleles for particular people. Now, a gene is a factor that's going to control traits. So, for example, with the chromosome that you see in front of you, we are dealing with the gene of flower color. Now, within the specific gene, there are different forms of that specific gene, and those forms are known as alleles. Okay? Now, for the flower color with this particular flower, we could either have a purple allele, which would present purple flowers, or a white allele, which would present a white flower. So again, kind of narrowing our focus, beginning with the idea of a chromosome, that particular part on the chromosome that may code for a specific trait would be a gene, and the different forms of that gene would be an allele. Now, to give you a more human-like example, we can talk about your ability to tongue roll. All right, you know whether or not you can roll your tongue. Maybe you've never even tried, but for those of you that can roll your tongue, it looks like this. That's how you roll your tongue, right? Everybody has this gene. However, not everyone has the same allele for that gene. Some of you maybe have, as geneticists would code it, a capital T, which would give you the ability to roll your tongue. Others may have a lowercase t, which would be the ability to, or to lack the ability to roll your tongue. And again, the letters that we use, the letters that we use are totally arbitrary. However, that's one way a geneticist or a genetic counselor may code that particular trait, which again is tongue rolling. So that's just a couple examples of genes and alleles. If we drive even deeper, what's going to make up those genes obviously is our DNA. All right, that double helix structure, which if you kind of unzip in a way, or unwind, I should say, kind of looks just simply like a ladder. All right, the rungs of the ladder are going to provide you with your genetic code. The adenine, the thymine, the guanine, the cytosine, and the arrangement of those particular base pairs is, quite frankly, your genetic code, which will code for the genes or specific alleles for traits that ultimately, make us who we are. The next part 2 of our Heredity series, is going to dig into this fellow right here, Gregor Mendel, or the father of genetics. So now would be an awesome time to record any questions that you have about genes, alleles, chromosomes, karyotypes, X and Y chromosomes, whatever they may be, and come see me with those questions. So thanks for watching, and see you soon.